Now, it makes sense to talk about West Ham because, I think you might have said, Mark, on the podcast a good few weeks ago that West Ham could be in a bit of trouble and could be in a relegation contender this season. And the struggles continued. Only 3-0 home defeat to Spurs. I think it's 11 goals in 4 games conceded, 18th in the league. 125 million quid, Andy Dillon, spent in the summer.
Wow.
Graham Potter, first of all, what are your thoughts, having written about West Ham as well as supporting them?
When he was in Sweden, wasn't it? He used to got his players to perform Swan Lake to get them out of their comfort zone. Yeah. And he was really meant to be really good with players like that.
Or like Russell Martin, just take them in the actual lake.
So, he's not a shouter, and I don't think you have to be a shouter to be a good manager and get a team behind you. But what we're seeing is you've got a team out there that needs shouting at, and a club that needs shouting at because it's so weak and feeble. But the key thing being at home.
Headed goals as well. I would always think of West Ham as a team with a bit of a fortress at the back, when it came to corners and set pieces and things.
Well, I've got a friend of mine who goes absolutely every game. And he's been studying the defence closely because that's usually where the ball is in our box. We talked about Max Kilman, and he said he's a great ball-playing centre-half, really good bringing it forward. Mm-hmm. But what he needs next to him is someone with a head on him. Yeah. So we used to have Craig Dawson, or we had Kurt Zouma. And you could see why they were going for Harry Maguire, because he needs someone like that next to him. Yeah. And he hasn't got that because we've got Mavropanos, who is such a weak link. Yeah, really is. And that's where the problems are. So many of those goals I'm looking at, I just suddenly see the number 15 pop up, and there he is right in the middle of it as one of the main culprits.
Here's the thing as well, Mark. I know you've got an insight into how clubs are run after spending a bit of time with Nottingham Forest, right? But there always seems to be a bit of a shadow over the way West Ham's run. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, the thing is, with West Ham, you're looking back previous years, and I think, and I've said this before with West Ham, is sometimes clubs, and we're seeing it time and time again, people want this sexy football. Mm-hmm. What is sexy football? What is it? Do we want results? Do we want a 1-0 win, 2-0 win, 3-0 win? Or is it a result?
I think sexiest football I've seen is Bournemouth in the last 2 seasons.
But they're not winning any. They're not. I think West Ham, people expect, rightly or wrongly, and I think probably wrongly now, because there's so many good teams in the Premier League now. Not everybody wins a trophy. West Ham won the Conference League, which was a huge step forward as a club. Yeah, they replaced David Moyes, who's doing well again at Everton.
Yeah, won some silverware,
and now they want this attractive football. Yeah, and they lose the results. They lose the stability, and now they're running the risk. I like Graham Potter. I think Graham Potter's a great guy. I think he's a dynamic young coach. But how does he get them out of this rut? They've signed the players now, so they've got the squad. They're weak in a lot of positions. I think one of the if you look at West Ham, you're signing Callum Wilson. That's a step. I like Callum Wilson.
He wasn't a starter for Newcastle, was he? And
he was injured a lot. Yeah, he was injured a lot. He wasn't really scoring goals. Yeah. If you look at his goals last year, he didn't score many goals.
Were you excited by that signing, Andy?
Only in the typically sort of perverse way a football fan does, in that Callum Wilson always used to score against West Ham. Someone has had a brain let's finally get this bloke on side.
Yeah. So he couldn't score against us.
Yeah, so at least he can't score against us.
What's the West Ham way, Andy?
The West Ham way. So David Moyes, when he first took over, we all went for a drink with him. And I was talking to him, and I revealed my loyalties, and we were having a chat, and he said, "You West Ham fans," he said, "you seem to be happy if you've got a player who can sort of dribble a little bit, play a little bit of a fancy football, bit of footwork, flick a couple of flicks and get into the other team's half. You seem to be happy." And this is where I've got to disagree a bit with Mark, because West Ham fans don't expect trophies. What they expect is a team that tries. Yeah. They expect a lively atmosphere at home games. Mm-hmm. They love a lively atmosphere at away games, and they expect a bit of decent football. And let's have the odd cup run. Let's not roll over against Chelsea at home. Let's not roll over against Tottenham at home. Let's not let in 5 against Arsenal at home. let's have something at home that makes it a bit difficult to come to.
The London Stadium's emptying after 70 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah. But they're doing well for that. I mean, my mate left at 2-0 against Tottenham on Saturday. He just had enough. And I went to the Chelsea game, and this is where so much of this, and it might sound a little bit silly, but the stadium is so central to all of this.
It's not right, is it?
It's just
to go from Upton Park to that.
No.
Yeah, we were just discussing that. So if you look at Upton Park, which was quite a fortress, wasn't it? Teams didn't like to play there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't describe it as a fortress because let's not forget they lost plenty of games there.
No, but it was always a place which it had that
had an edge.
That chicken run was because I was always, when we used to get assessed, we always had an assessor in the stadium. We used to say, "Why did he not get wide and deep?" I said, "Do you think I'm going to fucking go wide over there with a chicken run?"
What was that like actually to referee Upton Park?
Intimidating. Yeah. It didn't matter which part of the ground you went, you were getting abused.
Yeah.
It was tight. It was really tight. The atmosphere was incredible, especially if West Ham were playing well. It was an incredible place.
I was saying, I met up with Stan Collymore a number of years ago, and I remember distinctly being going West Ham Liverpool. 8 minutes in, typically he scores. So this is where West Ham Upton Park wasn't a fortress, but he scores. And he scores in front of the Liverpool fans who are in the old South Bank. And he made the mistake of turning left instead of right with his celebration. Goes in front of the chicken run and he stands there, arms out, imperious. And I remember seeing it. And he confirmed it later. A cup of pea hit him square on the head, lobbed from the crowd like that as he's standing there. And it's just splashed off his head and that sort of thing. Yeah. And I remember talking to him about it and he confirmed it. And I thought to myself, wow, that was a good shot.
Quick pee.
Yeah, and also, clearly somebody is standing there with a cup of pee in there, expecting Stan Collymore to score. Yeah. But, and Tony Cascarino I met recently as well. When he played for Millwall, he told me that he was in front of the chicken run warming up, and everyone was shouting out, Cass. And he said, I'm not turning around because it was the chicken run. Yeah. He said, I'm not going to turn around because I know what's going to happen. It's like, Tony, all pleasant. He said, eventually I'm doing my stretches, this, that, the other. He said, eventually I'll just turn around like he said, and about 500 people just gave me a gesture with their right hand, a waggling gesture, if you like, and a W word that followed with it. Yeah. And so that could make it tougher. So, again, so West Ham fans don't expect, and they haven't grown up with teams that win titles. But so I went to the Chelsea game and I'm looking around at that stadium and I call it an end. It's not an end because it's an oval blob, that stadium.
Yeah.
A bit like me when I take my shirt off. and where I was sitting in the upper tier behind the goal, there's actually, between us and the lower tier, there's like a beer garden.
Yeah.
Because there's such a big gap, they've laid artificial turf and picnic benches.
No.
Yeah,
did the atmosphere get any better in the European nights? Did it? Of course,
yeah, it did. But then, so the point I would go on to make is that when West Ham's got a team that might not be playing the best football under David Moyes, but they're an energetic team with Declan Rice in the middle, Jared Bowen and Mikel Antonio, exciting players, Kurt Zuma at the back, and Craig Dawson, who's a colourful character, a bit of a fan's hero. It can be lifted. But you can't. No ground does that week in, week out. But what you do get at West Ham, it drains the players.
Yeah.
That stadium drains the players when things aren't going well. And I was looking around at the stadium the other week against Chelsea on a Friday night, and it was like looking at an ant's nest from above. People are up and down the whole time, walking out, coming in, and it's just constant movement. Yeah. In Upton Park, you daren't leave your seat.
Yeah.
You get it a lot at grounds now. You get it at Arsenal. People are up 10 minutes in. Yeah. And going out to get a drink or whatever. And I just think it should be made illegal.
I agree.
It's a 2-year ban if you get up during the first half, unless you need a wee or something like that, or as an emergency.
Yeah.
But at West Ham, it's just exacerbated.
Yeah.
Because that stadium
it's not designed for football. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
No.
And how can you make a decision to go to a ground that isn't designed for football when your club is the antithesis? It's all about that, isn't it? It's just, I don't know.
That's a question you need to ask.
Yeah.
That's a question that needs to be asked.
What is Upton Park now? How is it?
Flats.
Flats.
Yeah. It's flats now, yeah.